What if the biggest threat to the global economy isn't a recession, a war, or even inflation, but the belief that this time is different? Every few years, the world receives thick reports from powerful institutions, forecasts, projections, and confident charts predicting growth, stability, and recovery. They are quoted by presidents, debated by investors, and trusted by policymakers. Yet somehow, again and again, crises arrive unexpectedly. So here's the mystery. If the smartest economists, the biggest data sets, and the most advanced models exist today, why does the global economy keep stumbling into the same traps? To answer that, we have to zoom out. Way out, beyond headlines and quarterly GDP numbers. We have to look at the big picture, how global economic prospects are shaped, why optimism rises, where it breaks, and why the fixes so often fail. This is not just a story about numbers. It's a story about power, incentives, and repeating patterns hiding in plain sight. Setting the stage, the architecture of global forecasts. To understand global economic prospects, we need to understand who defines them. After World War II, the modern global financial system was born. Institutions like the IMF, World Bank, and later central banks with global influence became the referees of economic stability. Their mission was simple in theory: prevent another Great Depression, stabilize currencies, and promote growth. Over time, their reports became economic scripture, annual outlooks, global forecasts, big picture reports filled with confidence intervals and baseline scenarios. These reports don't just describe the future, they shape it. Markets move on them. Governments budget based on them. Developing countries restructure entire economies to meet their assumptions. But from the beginning, there was a twist. These models were built on historical averages in a world that was rapidly changing. Globalization accelerated. Debt expanded. Financial markets grew faster than real economies. And yet, the forecasts kept assuming stability. That's where our story begins. Origins, the promise of predictable growth. In the decades after World War II, the global economy experienced something extraordinary: sustained growth. Reconstruction fueled demand, trade expanded, productivity rose. For much of the developed world, recessions became shorter and milder. This era created confidence, perhaps too much of it. Economists began to believe that with the right tools, interest rates, fiscal spending, and regulation, economic cycles could be managed. Boom and bust would be smoothed. Crises would be localized. This belief became embedded in big-picture reports. Baseline projections assumed moderate growth, contained risks, and rational actors. But under the surface, something else was happening. Debt was quietly rising faster than income. Financial innovation outpaced regulation. Inequality widened, even as averages looked healthy. The system appeared stable because instability hadn't yet arrived. The rise optimism fueled by expansion. By the late 20th and early 21st century, globalization entered full speed. Capital flowed freely across borders. Supply chains stretched across continents. Emerging markets were hailed as the next engines of growth. Reports spoke confidently about convergence-poor countries catching up to rich ones. Every cycle reinforced belief in the system. Each recovery made forecasts bolder. Each crisis seemed smaller than the last until it wasn't. Asset prices soared. Credit became cheap. Growth was increasingly driven not by productivity, but by leverage. Yet big-picture reports kept telling the same story. Risks were manageable. Shocks were temporary. Growth would resume next year. This optimism wasn't accidental, it was structural. Forecasts rewarded stability assumptions. Radical uncertainty didn't fit neatly into models. And that set the stage for the breaking point. The breaking point, when models met reality. The global financial crisis shattered the illusion. Almost no major forecast predicted the scale of the collapse. The same institutions that projected stability were suddenly scrambling to explain disaster. Banks failed. Trade collapsed. Governments stepped in with unprecedented bailouts. And once again, the explanation was familiar. This was a once-in-a-generation event. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It wasn't. The crisis exposed systemic weaknesses, excess debt, moral hazard, interconnected markets that had been building for decades. And yet, when the dust settled, big-picture reports returned to form. Growth would recover. Reforms would stabilize the system. Risks were contained until the next shock. Fallout. The age of permanent fragility. In the years that followed, the global economy entered a strange new phase. Growth returned, but slower. Debt reached new highs. Central banks became the main drivers of stability, flooding markets with liquidity. Big picture reports adapted their language but not their structure. They acknowledged uncertainty but still projected smooth paths forward. Then came new shocks, pandemics, supply chain breakdowns, energy crises, geopolitical fragmentation. Each time, the narrative repeated: shock, emergency response, optimistic recovery forecast. But the recoveries grew weaker, and the fixes more extreme. The system was surviving, but barely. Why solutions don't stick? So why do the fixes keep failing? Because they often treat symptoms, not causes. Low interest rates stimulate borrowing but encourage more debt. Fiscal stimulus boosts demand but doesn't fix productivity. Financial rescues stabilize markets but reinforce risk-taking. Big picture reports frequently assume that time alone will heal structural problems. But structural problems don't fade. They compound, and there's another issue: incentives. Governments prefer optimistic forecasts. Markets reward positive narratives. Institutions avoid alarming predictions that could cause panic. So caution is softened, risks are footnoted, and uncertainty is framed as temporary. The result? A system that looks stable until it suddenly isn't. Modern parallels, history repeating in real time. Today's global economic prospects echo the past more than many realize. Debt levels are higher than before previous crises. Growth projections depend heavily on assumptions of stability. Geopolitical tensions are reshaping trade, just as globalization once did. Productivity growth remains weak, yet forecasts assume acceleration. Aging populations strain public finances, yet long-term risks are downplayed. The patterns repeat. Overconfidence gives shock, gives emergency fix, gives renewed optimism. The cycle isn't broken. It's institutionalized. 3 clear takeaways. First, global economic forecasts are not neutral predictions. They are narratives shaped by incentives, history, and assumptions. Second, crises don't come from nowhere. They grow slowly and invisibly during periods of optimism. Third, the biggest risk to future prosperity isn't to lack of data, it's the refusal to confront uncomfortable structural truths. Warning, open-ended thought. The question isn't whether another global economic shock will come. The question is whether we will recognize it forming, or once again claim it was unpredictable after it arrives. Big picture reports can illuminate the future, or lull us into false confidence. Which one they become depends on whether we're willing to question the story they tell. Call to action? If you want to understand the global economy beyond headlines, if you want to see patterns before they repeat, then stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay informed. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts below. Do you think the world is heading towards stability or another turning point? Because the future isn't written in reports. It's written in the choices we make when the warnings are still subtle.